All right, welcome back to the After the Sun Poverty franchise right there, Joe. After the Siren Podcast. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Jim's asking me if I'm playing music. I'm not. All right, here we go. The collective bargaining agreement was finally reached during my surgery, which brought an end to the 99-day lockout.
All time.
Yep. One of the things that they agreed upon is a universal DH. What is your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I'm excited for it. I think the more offense in the league, the better. It's just going to bring more people into the sport. People want to see runs. People want to see home runs. And I think it also kind of evens the playing field between AL and the NL. I mean, in the NL, sometimes these pitchers have boosted stats because, pitchers don't know how to hit to get up in strikeouts and ERA. So, I mean, I think it was a good step forward with the universal DH.
I'm completely against it. There's no difference between the American League and National League now. You're taking away major strategy. You're going to see like the double switch that's going to die. Pinch hitting. There's managers have less to do now. They're just going to roll out their lineup. There's no pressure if your starter's doing really well, and then all of a sudden there's a couple runners on base. Do you stick with your starter pitching well in tie game, or do you go for a pinch hitter to get offense? Depending on how you're feeling your bullpen's doing and how the game's going, it's just taking a lot of strategy out of the manager's hands. It's just a dumb rule in general.
We'll agree to disagree.
Strategy of the game.
All right, and then the next thing that they have on the CBA is the Shohei Ohtani rule. Do you want to kind of explain that to our viewers?
So basically, because Shohei Ohtani is a two-way, he pitches and DHs. So any game where he's pitching and DHing, if the starter comes out of the game, they can stay in the game and DH. I kind of like that because we get to see Ohtani hit more because he's electrifying when he's on the field. But at the same time, the Angels could have used this and make Ohtani basically an opener, throw 3 innings and pull him out of the game and still get him to hit the rest of the game and throw him a couple days later for another 3 innings. So
I mean, I think
it's up in air.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It's up in air on what they're doing.
Shohei, I mean, MVP this last year, and I think he can be MVP again. I mean, more at bats, more home runs, more RBIs, all that stuff. I mean, basically hand him a golden ticket here with this rule. I think it is a good rule, though. I like it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. All right.
The more show time, the better.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite players to watch. Another new rule: they're going to stick with the Texas tiebreaker, which in extras, the runner on second stays on. The inning starts with the runner on second, and then goes from there. I don't necessarily like it. I like normal rules, but I can see what the rule is trying to do, which is shorten the game because you don't really want these 17, 18-inning games, just this drain on the players and the pitchers. Because if it's a night game, you got a 1 p.m. game the next day, and it goes on for 6 hours or so. The players are shot for the next game, and that's going to cause more injuries. If they won this rule, I could see them like making the first 1 or 2 extra innings just straight up like normal. Then after that, they implement the Texas rule, and starting in like the 11th or 12th inning. Other than that, I don't like the rule at all.
I think it's a stupid rule. It's not real baseball, in my opinion. I mean, this isn't the little leagues anymore. This is the pros. This is the high echelon level of the game. And along with you, I mean, I understand.
Same with DH. Same with DH. DH is a little league.
DH is not little league.
DH only started in the 80s. Before then, pitchers were hitting every single time.
Yeah, and the little leagues, pitchers are freaking hitting every single time in the little league. This isn't the little league. I don't want pitchers hitting.
High school, you got DHs left and right.
That's not technically little league. Hey, but let me get back to what I'm saying. I mean, I understand what they're talking about with, listen, they want the faster games. I think the extra innings. I mean, I want the games that are going past 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I think that just adds to the game of baseball. You don't have any other sport that's really doing that. sets them apart from every other sport in the game. Hopefully, I mean, I hope it gets taken out. We'll see what happens, but I'm not a fan of it.
They're voting on it at the end of this year to see if they want it to continue. But just for this year, it's returning.
So the next thing is the potential for the pitch clock in 2023. I know they experimented with it in the minors, and it was set to shorten games by about 20 minutes. I don't really know how I feel about it. How do you feel?
There's too much gray area in the rule, because what are they going to do if they go past the 15, 20 seconds? They're not going to do anything. What happens if the batter calls time? Is the pitcher supposed to still throw it? There's too much gray area, so it's not going to affect anything or matter.
I'm sure if they say time, I mean, probably the clock will stop. When does the clock like start? Does it start when the pitcher's on the rubber? Does it start when they get the ball back from the catcher? Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, they got put more info about it out there. It also adds, I think, unadded pressure to the pitchers. I mean, now that you have a clock to throw a pitch, I mean, when you're in the postseason, I mean, Game 7, runner on second. I mean, do you really want a clock on you to be throwing the ball? Probably not. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what happens with it going forwards.
Yeah. Next thing is expanded playoffs. It's what, 14 teams, I believe.
That was 12.
12. I don't remember I think the players wanted 14 and the owners wanted 12.
I believe it's
I don't
12
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Just because now you're just inviting more teams into the playoffs.
Listen, this game's all
taken
about
away
cash.
from winning takes it away from winning the division. That's what you're supposed to do.
That is true. I mean, listen, like I said, I mean, it's all about cash in this game. The more games they get in, the more cash teams are going to get. And this is a cash game. But yeah, teams that I think shouldn't be in the playoffs now are going to get in the playoffs. I mean, you could be a 500 team and potentially squeeze into the playoffs here. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of it either.
Agree.
It's almost like the NBA, because now you have the play-in games there.
Yeah,
I think it's like the 10 and 11 seeds or whatever. I'm
very happy they don't have the ghost win, because it's a best of 3 to start off in the first one, and the players want to have the higher rated seed to have a ghost win. So I'm glad they said no to that, because you're supposed to play the games, not get a free win.
Yeah, I'm with you. Oh, the next thing, banning shifts. I think they have a vote for it in, I think, 2022 on whether to implement that for 2023. What's your take on it?
I don't like it. It's part of the strategy of the game. The batters, they shouldn't really be pulling the ball every time. They should actually try to hit the ball and not try to strike out or bust, or home run or bust. They need to start spraying the ball. Once hitters start going the other way, it'll stop the shift. Look at Ted Williams. The shift started with Ted Williams when he started getting older.
I mean, these guys are mainly
athletes. The Williams shift, he got a bigger bat and just started laying ground balls to shortstop because nobody was there. Then they stopped the shift. He went back to doing what he did and spread the ball all around the field.
Oh, bro, I was freaking lagging bad there. My bad. I don't know. I think to a certain extent they should ban the shift, I think they should keep it where there's like 2 defenders on both sides of second base, but like they're able to move freely as they want. But I mean, kind of taking what you are. I mean, these guys are major league athletes. I mean, they should be able to go the opposite way with the ball. I think Joey Gallo, I mean, he recently said, how's he supposed to get a hit when there's 6 guys on the right side of the field? I mean,
hit the other way. Lay
hit
down
the other
bunt.
way, exactly.
Lay down like 5 bunts.
It's kind of crazy, but I don't know. I mean, like I said before, I'm an offensive guy. I want to see more runs, and I think banning the shift will, I think, create more hits, more runs, more action in the game. But if they keep the shift, like, I won't be against it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's one of those ones that's in the gray. All the dogs in the neighborhood are going nuts right now. All right, let's get
You
into
gotta put a muzzle on Winnie.
Hey, Winnie will kick you in the rear.
Listen, I'm waiting for my boxing match with her.
All right, we're going to get into the free agency and trades. Big one. Freeman to LA, Olsen to Atlanta. Atlanta giving up Pache, Langoliers, and 2 pitching prospects, or lower end pitching prospects. I think this is a good move by Atlanta. Freeman getting
I like
older.
it.
Pache, I think, is a dead end prospect. He has the so-called 5 tools, but I think he's just going to be a defensive wizard, and the bat's not going to come around because he's been up and down a couple times, and the bat hasn't come around at all. Like, no glimpses whatsoever. Some people are saying that this is a big mistake by the Braves, but if you remember, Atlanta got a lot of hate for choosing not to re-sign Andrew Jones, and then Andrew Jones had a major decline. And then you also have other first basemen past their 32 age season, and their OPS drops. Look at Pujols, age 28 to 31, 176 OPS plus, then 32 to 37, 115. Miguel Cabrera, 32 to 33, 161. Then when he was 34 to 38, 99. Joey Votto, 32 to 33, 164, 34 to 37, 117. I think Freeman's going to be good for maybe 2 years, and then I think he's going to start to decline. If you look at Olsen, over the last 3 full seasons in 18, 19, and last year, his batting average and OPS is on the rise. He's hit 104 home runs in those 3 years, 286 RBIs, won 2 Gold Gloves, has more power than Freeman, similar forte in his hitting because he can hit left-handed pitching and right-handed pitching. I think this is an excellent move by Alex Anthopoulos and the Braves organization.
I agree. I mean, as a Yankees fan, both Freeman and Olsen were kind of in the rumors of joining the team. And if I could choose between the two, I wanted Olsen on the team more than Freeman. I mean, the same exact thing. Both of them are Gold Gloves at first. And then on the offensive side, both of them are elite. I mean, you're going to be getting 270 with Olsen, 280 with him, and maybe close to 300 with Freeman. Both 30-plus home runs most likely. But like you said with Freeman, I mean, I think eventually in a couple of years, he's going to be on a decline. You got Olsen in his prime for the next, what was it, an 8-year, 9-year contract?
8-year extension.
I agree. You had to replace Freeman, and I think it's honestly 1A, 1B with them. You got the next best guy for first base.
Yeah. I think Olsen too. He's hitting with all this power in Oakland in the AL West. Those are some big parks. It's not like he's playing in a small confines of Yankee Stadium or Philadelphia.
Imagine him at Yankee Stadium. That would be amazing.
Another
40
thing
home
is,
runs easy.
With Freeman, he chose to leave because the contract he took with LA, it's 1 more year. But if you look at the money based off of state taxes, it's only $9 more million he's getting with LA than he would have with Atlanta.
I was surprised when he said he wasn't going to return. I mean, when you look at guys like him, you see him as lifelong guys for the franchise, like a Jeter.
Yeah. The Braves always had one. Takes 15, maybe 20 years, just hangs their hat, go to work every day. Look at Jones, Murphy, Aaron, Warren Spahn, Eddie Matthews. List goes on. But Olsen's the next guy.
Yeah. All the next best thing in free agency was all the shortstops that were available. You had Story, Correa, Seager, Baez, Simeon. I mean, let's just start with Story. I mean, going to the Red Sox, I believe, on a 6-year deal.
6 with an option for a 7th.
Well, what's your take on that?
That's a perfect fit. He's going to be a second baseman now, but the way his swing is and how he hits, he doesn't just pull the ball. He drives it everywhere, and he gets good launch angle, which will be perfect for Fenway with the monster. And I think he's just going to thrive there. And a lot of those outs in Colorado that die at the warning track, those would be banging off the monster for singles and doubles and even home runs.
Yeah. Once again, as a Yankee fan, I mean, Story's always in the rumors for us.
Who do you not want?
Baez. We'll take any other shortstop, not Baez. But now he's at our rivals Story. That infield's loaded now. You have Devers, Bogarts, him, probably Bobby Dahlbeck at first. I think out of the shortstops, I mean, it was coming out that he was probably going to be the most.
He froze up there.
Take a shorter deal and then test ball. I mean, Red Sox, they just made the ALCS this year. I mean, the World Series contenders.
Yeah, I agree. He was one of the most sought out after shortstops, probably right behind Carlos Correa, who's essentially took 3 one-year deals with Minnesota Twins. I think this elevates the Twins back into contention for the division. If you look at it, you got Buxton center, they got Correa at short. This team 2 years ago,
better than the White Sox
ago, I think they'll give them a run for their money. Correa will step straight into Houston and start winning there. Now he's going into Minnesota, who they still got Sano. They still got is it Kep? No, Kepler's not there. Kepler's in Cleveland, I think. They're loaded with talent. They got rid of,
there, I think.
Traded Donaldson away, but Donaldson was their only bright spot last year.
Yeah, I mean, trade away IKF as they're kind of left and Donaldson. I mean, you're getting $50 million off your books and add on to the Yankees. Still a little bit confused as a Yankees fan why we didn't use that money to sign a Correa or Story, but it is what it is. I like IKF, but as for Correa, I mean, it was coming out that he wanted a huge deal. Yeah. I mean, close to $8 million. I mean, highest infielder probably ever. And for it to be only 3 years opt-outs after every single year, I mean,
highest
it was a little bit. It was a little bit of a shock. Not surprised because I mean, who wants to be in Minnesota? You know, I mean, it's cold there, snows weather. There.
In the summer, it's beautiful.
It is an indoor stadium, I believe, though. So I mean,
it's not. It's outdoor.
Is it? Oh, I'm thinking of the old stadium.
A long time ago, yeah.
I'm thinking of the yeah. You're right, but yeah, I mean, Correa's going to bring this winning pedigree. He's been winning his whole career.
Yeah.
That's all I have to. I wish he was the Yankees.
Yeah. All right, Baez anchoring the final stages of Detroit's rebuild. If you're doing a rebuild and you want to start a build around, I don't think Baez is the one to do it because he's not going to hit for contact at all. He'll hit for some power, but he's going to strike out way too much, which is not good for the young guys coming up like Riley Green and others.
Like Torkelson. Yeah, I mean, let me tell you, this team's going to be fun. This team's going to be a fun team to watch. I mean, Baez, he's that guy, freaky agility. I mean, he's going to be on SportsCenter's top 10 almost every single week. It seems like
his defense is good.
I mean, listen, yeah, I mean, out of all the shortstops, he's probably last on my list. He's not a bad shortstop by any means. I mean, he's definitely one of the best players in the league still. He has pop in his bat. Strikeouts for him is going to be an issue. But I mean, he can teach some of the younger guys the game. Like we said before, great defense. And I mean, they're going to have a great future, this team, I think.
Yeah. I think next year's going to be their year to take the league by storm. This year it's going to be the warning shots.
Yeah, and then the last big signing in the shortstop area was Seager and Marcus Semien to the Rangers. Spent almost $500 million on the two of them. I mean, is it crazy to say that they could be contenders in the West already? These two?
I think they might. They got the best, probably one of the best double play duos in the American League, maybe all of baseball. So it's interesting seeing what they'll do. also have a good, solid rotation. You got good pitching prospects coming up. I think Texas is going to be well suited
That
for the
is
future.
true.
All right, what else we got here? We got
I mean,
Seattle.
I agree. Seager and Simeon. Wait, hold up. Seager and Simeon. I mean, they got that offense to go with them. They have Josh Young. I believe Josh Young, whatever, young guy playing third base for them. Those Garcia in the outfield. You just got Jack Leiter in the draft.
Yeah,
They could be scary in a couple years, this team.
I agree. All right, Seattle making big moves. Two things that they really needed. They needed timely hitting and to shore up that rotation. They got the Robbie Ray, the Cy Young Award winner. And they got Suarez and Winker from Cincinnati. They accomplished those two things. I think they're going to win the division this year. I think they're going to make a run for the money, at least make playoffs.
I mean, this Mariners team's last year, they became basically America's team. Longest drought without making a playoffs, I believe. I'm rooting for them. I certainly am. I don't know whether they're going to have Winker play DH for them. He's not very good in the outfield. He's kind of a slow guy, not the best arm, but he, like Baez, has that pop in his bat. I mean, he's going to easily get 35 plus home runs for this team. And that's one thing they needed. This team needed power, and they got it. And as far as Robbie Ray, I mean, I don't know how I feel about him. I mean, he had a great year last year. I don't know. I think Garrett Cole should have won last year, honestly. He's definitely an upgrade from Yusei Kikuchi. But I'm rooting for them.
Yeah. All right, Philadelphia and the New York Mets. They're trying to play catch up to the Braves. Mets signed Scherzer, Bassett, or they trade for Bassett and Kanya from Oakland. Got basically a brand new bullpen, but New York media is going to be right on them. I don't think they did enough to shore up the bullpen, but their starting rotation is fine, but their bullpen's probably going to blow it again.
I think they're the team to beat in the East.
No, every year they do this. Everyone talks about New York, like the whole Northeast media bias always talks about how Washington, Philadelphia, and the New York Mets, and how they're going to win the East and leave. But push comes to shove, the Mets never live up to the expectation, and there's a team in Georgia that just keeps chopping wood, just wins the division each year.
Now, the Mets, with that signing of Scherzer, I mean, they have the best 1-2 pitching punch in the MLB. Arguably the two best pitchers of our generation, arguably ever. Let's not add like this trade for. I said arguably. This trade for Chris Bassett. This guy is so underrated.
Yeah, I agree.
He's going to get them.
That's why he's underrated.
That is true. I think another underrated sign of them, they got Adam Ottavino from the Red Sox. Yeah. I mean, there's periods where he was an unhittable relief pitcher, but there's also periods where he would melt down. I mean, it reminds me of Jairus Familia from them. I mean, I know Mets fans, they hated him there. But listen, I don't think their bullpen's going to be an issue. I mean, if you have guys like DeGrom, Scherzer, Bassett going 7 innings a game, you only need 2 innings of relief, you know? And they're back to Tajon Walker and Carlos Carrasco was one of the best pitchers in the game just 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Tajon Walker, I think he might have been an all-star last year, if not close to getting the all-star nod. I mean, the rotation's scary there. And then defensively or offensively.
Offensively and defensively.
I think Lindor's going to have a bounce-back season.
Lindor will, but offensively last year, in the last couple of years, they've been subpar every single year. Like they have a bar up here. They should be performing here, but they perform here. Speaking of Familia, though, he signed with the Philadelphia Phillies as they try to remake their bullpen to keep up with Atlanta's night shift. As as well as they signed Schwarber and Castellanos. Schwarber's
I
probably
mean,
going DH. And then
yeah,
Castellanos plays
most
left,
likely.
which
I mean,
Castellanos is like this. He gets in these hot streaks and then he's not hot for a while, then gets hot again. So
well, let me tell you. I mean, Schwarber and Castellanos, you're going to get that offense from them. I mean, both of them, not the best defensively, but you're getting 66 home runs from them, another 170 RBIs from them. And I mean, they already have two great starters over there. And I think offense was the issue for the Phillies last year. I mean, Harper can't carry them the whole entire way. J.T. Realmuto was all right. I mean, he's still one of the best catchers in the game. This is going to be a fun division to watch, though. I mean, you got three great teams there. I mean, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on
top. Atlanta, New York, and Philadelphia. Who has the best bullpen in the East?
But if we're talking bullpen, I'll give it to Atlanta.
I agree. They got four closers. They added Kenley Jansen, McHugh. You got the night shift from playoffs last year with Will Smith, Matzik, Minter, Jackson. I think that's what's going to be the X factor in that division. If there's one set of guys who's going to determine the division, it's those guys, because you can have your star go out 5 and roll out 4 closers.
Well, how are the Phillies, or not the Phillies? How are the Braves going to have? How are their stars going to do? I mean, I know
their stars are going to do fine. Look, you got Charlie Morton, you got Max Fried, you got Ian Anderson.
Charlie Morton's old.
He's still, and he could be an ace on every single staff. You got essentially 3 aces there. You got Mike Soroka coming back mid-year.
Let's see how he's going to do. What did he do? What was his injury? Do you remember?
He ruptured his Achilles, and then he had shoulder problems when he was coming back from his Achilles injury. But he'll be back. He'll be fine. He had shoulder injuries in the minors.
You can't say he's going to be fine. I mean, those are some big injuries. You need the Achilles to push off of.
He already had shoulder problems before, and he pitched through it.
But maybe he can't pitch through it this time.
You have Inoa. Inoa did good last year until he was dumb and punched the bench and broke his hand. You have Kyle Wright, who went in the World Series, made a good start. You had Kyle Muller, who did the same thing in the playoffs. There's depth there. They're not your mainstream guys like DeGrom or Scherzer, but after you have the big 3, you'll have guys just plugging in and getting the job done.
It'll be fun to see, but
yeah.
We'll move on to Chris Bryant to the Rockies. And I mean, this was, I think, the most surprising signing.
Yeah.
With the Rockies, with not the highest pedigree. What do you feel about why you think he signed there?
He signed 7 years to sit through another rebuild. I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. But I think he should have stayed in San Francisco, help keep them competitive, because last year I think San Francisco everything fell into Dave Kapler's lap, because you had all those old guys and they all had career years. I think he should have stayed there because San Francisco needs to get younger. But I think this move is good for Bryant because he's not going to be moving around like he did with Chicago and then a little bit with San Francisco. He's going to be staying in left field. That's what I believe Buddy Baker's still their head coach, right? Their manager.
Honestly, I have no clue. I don't really care about the Rockies.
But if Bryant's playing the same position every day, that's when his numbers are going to get good. Look at him his first 2 years in the pros when he played third base every day, just one position. He was phenomenal.
I mean, I think the most obvious reason why he signed for the Rockies was the money.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how many teams were going to pay him that upper echelon money for a guy who's been on the decline since his MVP season. But I think this was, now that I'm looking back on, I think it might have been a good decision for him. You know, he doesn't have that pressure on him to perform like when he was on the Cubs last year with San Fran, with them trying to be title contenders. Just a chance for him to focus on baseball, restart, and find his stride in the game again. I mean, the guy in his first 2 years, I mean, Rookie of the Year, he's an All-Star, NL MVP, World Series champion. I mean, there was a lot of media on him, like this next best thing type of guy. Obviously, it didn't really fall into place for him, but maybe he can find that MVP self in Colorado.
Yeah. I think he's going to help turn them around. I think they won't be competitive for another 4 or 5 years, but no. The Angels, once again, they're not signing any real top of the line starters. Speaking of starters, Ohtani was named opening day starter earlier today. So other than that, they really got nobody.
It's hard to have faith in this team. And it really sucks to say that when you have a guy like Mike Trout, one of the best players we've ever seen in our lives.
Ohtani.
Ohtani, guys like, I mean, you want for these guys, you want to see them get a ring before their career is over. I mean, you have 3 solid guys. Okay, we already know they have Shohei Ohtani, talented arm still. We'll have to see what Syndergaard gets out. I mean, it seems like he's been out with injuries every year for the past 5 years, it seems. I don't know how his arm strength is going to be, what stamina's going to be like when you get in the dog days of August, September, days like that.
Yeah.
But the back of the rotation, I mean, that's the biggest question mark. You have Lorenzen, Suarez, Barrea. None of these guys are really going to be guys that are going to get you like 9-10 wins, probably high or 4 ERAs. I don't know. I know they're just having a freaking sale fire right now. Maybe they get Montas or something like that.
Yeah. Heard Oakland's got Mania and on the chopping block too. But yeah, I agree. I don't think Syndergaard's a top of the line starter. I mean, he always has injuries. He always has like a couple good starts, but overall, there's games where he completely lays an egg. His last full season was in 2019, and 3.6 ERA with a 1.234 WHIP. That's not going to cut. That's not what they need. But they did sign a lot of relievers.
That's really not that bad.
Yeah, but that's not what they need.
For a 2 or 3 starter, that'll work.
That is not what they need. They need a top of the line starter. They wasted all that money on Rendon a couple years ago when they didn't need that. But they did sign tons of relievers this offseason. I don't know. I think they're just trying to roll everybody out as an opener. Pretty much.
It's a question what they're doing out there in LA.
He's like a 3 or a 4 on any other team besides the Angels.
I don't know about any other team. What about Arizona?
I mean, Arizona, you're talking about the greatest establishment. But
and Mad Bum finding it out there. But
we got Matt Chapman being traded to Toronto. I think he's going to do good. I think it's going to be like when Donaldson was traded there in 2015. I think just automatic on the East Coast, more people watching him, see what he can do. He's going to be a big factor in the Toronto season, trying to win the AL East, go far in playoffs. But let's talk about Oakland here. They're another teardown, but a lot of people are saying they're reloading like they do every 3 years. What do you say they're doing? Are they reloading or are they tearing down right now?
I don't see how they would be able to reload. I mean, you're saying before we start this podcast that they're going to be a 90-win team in 2-3 years. I just don't see it. I don't see the talent there. I mean, going to this year, I mean, who do they even have out on the field? I mean, I think they're definitely over 108 losses this year. Might even be worse than the Orioles, honestly. And then prospect wise, they have 3 in the top 100, and 2 of them, I believe, are catchers. I see it as a complete teardown. I mean, they're cheap there. I mean, they're not anyone. But I see it as a teardown, and it's a shame for a team that's been competitive for the last couple of years.
This is a reload for them. They do this every couple of years. They sell off their players right before 1-2 years before their walk year, so they get a big package. Then 1 year they'll be like lose 90 games, maybe win 80 if they're lucky. But then right after that, they're back to winning 90 games and being competitive every single year. This is another one of those things. But like you said, they have two top 10 or not, two of their top prospects as catchers. Guess what? They're going to sell one to pick up a couple guys on the cheap, like they normally do. Just these random moves, like how they got Piscotty a couple of years ago. They're just going to pick up these random guys who seem like they're not fitting on their other teams. They go to Oakland, they'll perform. This is what happens every couple of years.
One of the main pieces in this Olsen to Atlanta trade was Christian Pache. And you already stated earlier how this guy just isn't it. I mean, defensively, yeah, he may be a specialist. Offense is just not there. I mean, is he going to be a piece that sticks around? And if they do sell him, they probably won't be able to get much for him after teams start to realize that maybe this guy isn't the prospect that we all thought that he was.
Oakland's going to get something out of him if they do decide to trade him, but he's going to be a solid player. The bat, he's probably going to bat ninth, 8th or 9th. He's not going to be batting in the leadoff like a lot of people thought. But he's going to be a big piece because defense is very critical, especially in Oakland, that big ballpark. Him roaming center field, he's going to win Gold Gloves out there. He's going to bring everything together. They'll develop the offensive pieces around them, and they'll be fine.
So, well, we were talking about this other teams in the West. This team in the future, I don't see them being better than Houston. I don't see them being better than Seattle. Texas, I like them better than Oakland. I don't see the 90 wins coming out of anywhere. I don't see a postseason in the near future. That's my take on it.
It's Oakland. They do this all the time. They're very confusing. It's like Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay Rays have a bunch of nobodies and they win the division. Win 100
I mean, not
games.
nobodies anymore. Now people know them, but I agree
Still
with you.
not as much. Not as much as other teams. All right, that pretty much wraps it up for today. Next week when we talk MLB, we'll be talking about previewing the NL and AL. Give us our predictions for the playoffs, division, power rankings, and awards. Sound good?
Sounds good. Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
We'll see you after the next siren. I feel you gotta play the siren there.
Oh, I should? Okay.
Yeah.
I got.
And we'll see you after
Bro, on my YouTube.
the next siren.
Hold up.
Oh my goodness, we are a mess.